Hey, good Sunday, everybody. 5 News Chief Meteorologist Skot Covert here at current time 6:23. One severe thunderstorm warning, but it's one I want to keep an eye on. It's moving into Sequoyah County here in eastern Oklahoma. Scattered activity. You're probably hearing the thunder in northwest Arkansas. Not a lot going on in the river valley right now, but these storms are getting ready to move into the river valley. And for that reason, we're watching them really closely. There is a little bit of rotation with this cell here that's now going to be crossing over into Sequoyah County. It's not the strongest of rotation that we've ever seen, but it's a little bit of rotation that is of concern to me there. In addition to that, just to the south of the Arkansas River, we're looking at nearly golf ball size hail north of Stigler. That's going to be tracking closer and closer to that I-40 corridor between Gore, Vian, and Sallisaw. There's also some other atmospherical boundaries laid out right through that area that very well could enhance that little bit of rotation that's there right now. Again, it's not strong rotation, but it is rotation nonetheless. Because of the rotation that is there, it's not enough to meet a tornado warning. Had one of those one county over just a few moments ago. That rotation weakened, but what we do have is just enough to add this little note. It's just a little note. All it is from the Weather Service saying not enough rotation, not organized enough, not strong enough just yet for the actual full-blown tornado warning. But just heads up that there is a little bit of spin in this specific storm, and it's very possible that it's simply just recycling. And that's why I wanted to go ahead and fire up this stream just to get ahead of any potential warning, so we can be here for you. If there is a tornado warning, we'll fire up Channel 5 and go on air. Here's Garland right here. This area of concern would be right where that little hook echo is, right there. If you go into the actual velocity or the winds of the storm, what we're going to find is that you can see those colors kind of starting to come together just to the northwest of the Garland community. We'll go a little bit closer into this. These storms overall have been moving relatively slowly this afternoon. You notice here, probably went in a little too tight. Let's go back it up just a hair. Okay, let's stay right there. I'm going to draw this out for you. So Doppler radar that we're using is out of Fort Smith, right? So it sees winds blowing away from it here in red. And then with the green, you've got some winds blowing into it right there. That's a terrible arrow, but you get the picture. And right where that spin is the Doppler radar saying, there's a little bit of rotation there. Probably want to watch that really closely. And that is the situation that we're dealing with out there right now. On top of that, their primary most likely hazard that's occurring right now is a decent amount of hail coming out of this, potentially to the size of golf balls. 1.75 inches is what the warning calls for. Right now, the largest of the hail core is going to be just to the south of the Arkansas River, right there on that Sequoyah County line. Just to the west of Tomahawk. If you're in Tomahawk, heads up, you've got a hailstorm tracking your direction, a hailstorm that also has a little bit of rotation with it as well. Right now, Doppler radar indicates potential hail to the size of $50. So we're kind of in that golf ball range, $50 golf ball range right there in the most intense part of the storm. That's not to say the entire storm is making golf ball or $50 size hail, but certainly portions of it very well could be. That's going to be tracking closer and closer to the Arkansas River with time. But these have been moving slowly, although this one is picking up a little bit of speed. In fact, it was down to 15 miles per hour. Now it's up to 25. Not a big difference, still a slow moving storm, but a difference nonetheless, which very well could enhance its ability to produce some additional rotation and perhaps warrant another tornado warning. That's what we're wanting to get on there for on the stream anyways, just to be ahead of that. I'd like to put a track on it for you. First, we're going to zoom a little closer back into this, and then we'll recenter our radar up and get an idea of where this fellow is moving. Generally speaking, it's almost due east. So we go back to the actual storm itself at 25 miles per hour. What we're going to find is some estimated times of arrival that are going to look a lot like this. I'm going to draw it from a couple of different areas, actually. In fact, I've actually changed my mind. I'm going to do it as a squall line instead of a supercell, just to include more folks in this. The timing is going to be the same. It just looks a little bit different for us. 25 miles an hour. Hope your Sunday's been off to a good start thus far. It was dry most of it. Unfortunately, this next wave of rain and storms going to be impacting us for the next little bit. So heads up, estimated time of arrival for Garland at 4:32, which is here in the next 5 minutes or less. Cherokee Casino in Sallisaw, 4:43. Downtown Sallisaw, 4:44. Brent, 4:53. Hanson at 4:53. Gans at 5:03. Muldrow heads up around 5:14. Cherokee Casino in Roland, estimated time of arrival there around 5:24. How about Dora at 5:32, crossing the state line, U.S. Marshals Museum right around 5:39. If the storm holds together, makes it into Fort Smith 5:44. Creekmore Park right around 5:47. Mercy Hospital there in Fort Smith 5:57, and Kibler at 6:02. This path track assumes that one, it doesn't speed up or slow down, and it also assumes that it doesn't change its track. So that's what we're looking at right now. Wanted to give you this early warning, this early heads up, but we'll have to be mindful that it may speed up, slow down, change trajectories there just a little bit. In terms of an organized appearance, at times we've had a very clearly defined hook echo. Not necessarily seeing that out there right now, but it is certainly going to be a supercell nonetheless, even though it looks a little bit messy at the moment. Look at all that lightning in that cell. Lightning, often, you've probably heard me say this, and I hate repeat myself if you heard me say it before, but you probably already know. Lightning is a lot like a person's blood pressure. It can tell you a lot about the health of a storm. When there's a lot of lightning, we know it's a pretty healthy storm. It's moving into an environment that's favorable for sustaining itself minimally, potentially even increasing in intensity. When the lightning numbers come down, it tells us, hey, the storm is weakening or it's moving into an area that is going to induce further weakening. Right now, we see a healthy amount of lightning. So as you're tracking this storm along with us at home, maybe on your radar app or just here on the stream, go ahead and just watch that lightning count. It can tell us a lot about the cell overall. We are live right now on Facebook, YouTube, and of course, as always, over on 5 News Plus. If a tornado warning is issued, I have no reason to believe anyone is going to be issued at this moment, but with enough rotation, just wanted to go ahead, cover all our bases, be here for you just to be on the safe side. This is the only severe storm that we're looking at the moment. There are other strong storms around the area. The warning includes Sequoia County. That's going to run for the next little bit. Once we zoom out, though, we're going to find a lot of other activity, primarily across Benton, Carroll, Madison County, some extending into Washington. Unfortunately, this is an area that has seen a lot of rainfall over the last 48 hours. We really don't need any more of these strong thunderstorms producing those more intense downpours. That's only going to exacerbate the potential for some flash flooding. I am afraid that very well could be the case. If not this evening, certainly going into tomorrow's chance of rain and storms, or tomorrow's, and then you get into Tuesdays. It's a really active weather pattern. We don't necessarily need more intense rain, where we've already seen 3 upwards of 6 inches at times. That's certainly going to be a concern as these storms are moving relatively slowly. They're also efficient rainmakers. That combination of factors, slow movement, a lot of rain coming out of it, well, it's easy to do the math there. You're going to start to pile that water up pretty quickly. Let's go back into this. Let's take another look at the rotation. We've got some new scans of data coming in. It may be able to tell us a little bit about what this storm's trying to do. Right now, the most intense part is right on top of the Arkansas River, just to the south of Vian. You can see the potential for a little bit of rotation is going to be, right there. It's still about the same. Doesn't really change much at all, which I would consider good news for the time being, but the rotation is going to be right there, just to the southwest of Omaha, slowly but surely tracking it off towards the east. Let's do this. I gave you a broad path earlier with regards to just the specific storm itself, the general storm. I want to go in and track just the area of rotation out for the folks that may be in the path of the rotation, but not necessarily the hail. With that in mind, we're going to take this over towards Muldrow, and that puts it at Omaha at 443, Red Hill 449. Keep in mind, this is a relatively slow moving storm. Brent Community 508, Salisaw 508 as well. Central High School 521, Gans 522, Baldrige 532, Muldrow around 534, Fort Coffee 538, Macedonia Church 539. That's just some estimated times of arrival. It's not strong rotation. I'll tell you that. It's just not strong rotation. Looks like the Weather Service has trimmed the backside out of that warning. So Purim, Warner, Weber's Falls no longer included in that warning. They're going to remain Omaha and Vian included in that. But for the time being, rotation's relatively weak. Let's hope it stays that way. No one wants to deal with a tornado warning tonight or a tornado at all. Right now, it is a very efficient hail producer. There's minimally that happening out there, and that's reason enough to avoid some of those windows. In addition to some hail, there's also 60-mile-per-hour straight-line winds coming out of this cell. So 2 factors contributing to this warning. Looks like the hail core has come down slightly, just a bit. Not seeing as bright of blues as we were just seeing. That indicated up to $half size hail. That's some good news for us. Right now, looking penny size on the outside of that cell. When you're going a little bit closer, perhaps nickel size. That's some good news. That's down from $half. Let's hope that trend's set to continue. What I'll do here, let's see, estimated rainfall. Oh, doesn't want to work for me. Okay. Oh well. Let's go back home. Looking at the other cells, no hail potential right now in northwest Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma. This is the one nasty little cell. It's not kind of out there by itself. It's not doing a lot. We're taking a look at winds elsewhere. Not really a whole lot going on. We'll go back not look at rotation per se, but just the winds and get an idea of how strong those winds are in terms of the straight line potential. Warning calls for up to 60. Sometimes that can be between about 50 and 60 out there. Enough to toss around some loose lawn furniture, not enough to knock down some limbs. No question about that. That's where the severe nature comes into play. We can sample some of those winds on radar. Taking a look at maybe that pixel right there. So that's only 28. So we're right now around 30 to 40 mile per hour winds. Sometimes those can mix a little bit heavier down to the surface, but right now, I'll tell you, this storm's not looking as concerning as it once was. It is just to the north of our Oklahoma 9, so between Stigler and Keota towards the north. In fact, it's about halfway between Highway 9 and the Arkansas River and then the lake there. I know that's going to be a reference point a lot of folks in Sequoia County are aware of. We'll go back area wide. Take a look at just the rain. What's the structure? Get an idea. Are we seeing that classic hook echo? No, it's not really well defined, but you can see a little bit of a notch there where that rotation is. Again, not the strongest of storms. I'm hoping it stays that way. I just didn't want to leave you hanging just in case something got going. I wanted to give you as early as heads up as possible, and so that's why the stream's here this evening. Overall, the severe weather threat is relatively low this evening across the area. I'll be honest, that tornado warning off towards the west was, I don't know if it was on really anyone's radar, but the way the atmosphere has just worked itself today, there's just enough ingredients there to provide just a little bit of spin. There's also some leftover outflow boundaries. Those are remnants of this morning's storms that rolled through, and all of that kind of comes together, and you can create just a little bit of spin there in the atmosphere, and that's what this storm's tapping into right now. About an hour ago, the environment at the Oklahoma-Arkansas state line was less favorable for the potential for severe storms. So the idea is, as this storm works its way towards the east, in theory, it should run into a bit of a wall, but that doesn't happen immediately. It's more of a gradual type thing. And so right now, I think the storm is certainly going to be have potential for some severe weather. Right now, hail and wind, the primary concern. I want to go back to the hail just to see what's happening there. Still looks a little bit less organized. We'll go back over to velocity. Are we seeing anything different? I'll actually tell you that rotation just came up a little bit in that scan right there. It's pretty easy to see. Go a little bit closer there as we look at that. That couplet's a little bit tighter. A couplet's what we call that area of rotation within the actual winds. Just to the southwest of Tamaha. In fact, I'll actually just measure it out for you. How southwest are we from Tamaha? So we're going to be about 4 to 5 miles just to the southwest. So it's not moving towards Tamaha per se, Tamaha proper anyways. It'll be moving off towards the south and east. I'll back up and show you exactly where it's tracking. It's more of an east-southeast direction for this specific storm. We'll back up a little bit. We'll take off that arrow, track it out at 25 miles per hour. We'll move into the Red Hill community. So heads up if anyone's watching there. That Red Hill at 451. So you got a little bit of time. Again, it's not tornado warned right now. It's just some rotation right below that threshold needed to issue a tornado warning. Hoping it stays that way. The storm has cycled a little bit with time. That newest scan shows the winds picking up, not necessarily any tighter rotation. Here it is. For those that are still struggling to see, it's right there. Greens are winds blowing away from towards the radar, rather, towards Fort Smith radar. Reds are blowing away. Where those intersect right there, that's where they call a couplet. That's what we have that rotation. It is moving east-southeast relatively slowly. I'm going to step off to another computer to make sure that speed's not changing much for us. Actually slowing down just a little bit, up to 60 miles per hour. Excuse me, it's down to 15 miles per hour. It is has the potential for up to 60-mile-per-hour straight line winds. That hasn't changed. Winds still warn for the potential of up to half dollar. I think that's come down a little bit in terms of the hail size. Taking a look at the hail core there. Maybe trying to come back up just a little bit. I want to show you the hail track that we've seen in the history of this storm. It's loading in there right now, and you'll be able to see it had some pretty large hail near Warner. In fact, that's probably that golf ball size verifying right there, tracking off towards the east-southeast, closing in on Tamaha right now. Brent's going to be next in line. Brent, Sallisaw, Muldrow, Spiro, no longer, not in a warning yet. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see an additional warning issued for that area. Seeing some reports of some perhaps wind damage in Warner, a little bit of tree damage, outside structure. So that kind of lines up with what we're seeing on radar. Minimally 60-mile-per-hour winds causing some of that wind damage out there. Hail is going to be a problem too. Sometimes that can pull down a lot of leaves and of course cause all kinds of vehicle and roof damage. Don't like any of that. Let's hope that hail core stays a little bit lower. It's still severe. It's still minimally a quarter size in diameter at times. It's kind of weakens and then it strengthens again. That's very normal as these supercells pulse up, pulse down. And the same thing happens with the velocities or the winds and how they rotate. And right now it's a bit less organized than it once was. That's not to say it won't try to find a way to reorganize and have that area of rotation increase yet again. That's the history of this cell in of itself. It's a pretty typical life cycle of a severe thunderstorm in this type of environment. Scanning there right now, Tamaha's probably got some intense winds. Just checking some more information. It does look like once it gets to the state line, like I mentioned a few moments ago, the environment does become a little bit less favorable. So the window here for additional development is going to be rather limited. What I'm going to do is give you, let's say, a few more scans of this specific storm as it crosses the lake, the river over into Sequoia County. And let's see if this thing doesn't tap into that laydown boundary and re-intensify. If it doesn't do that, I think we'll go ahead and probably just end the stream here, at least for a minute, and give it time to see if it doesn't relax and hit that wall, if you will, a less favorable environment. Hail core has come down. The warning now includes up to the potential of 1.25 inches, so 1¼ inches. It's a little bit lower than the 1.75 that we had earlier. Winds still up to 60, and yet again we still have that note, tornado possible note. That's the Weather Service telling us, hey, we see the rotation that y'all are seeing. It's just not enough to actually prompt a tornado warning, and I think that's the right move for at least this time. I've not seen any rotation as this storm has evolved over the last 20 minutes that would actually necessitate an actual tornado warning. We're staying right below that. Storms tried to, but the environment is just really not all that favorable or conducive for intense rotation. Maybe we get some weak rotation to try to spin up, but overall not looking too impressive. Tamaha right now, you've got it. It's intense. Rainfall is heavy. The lightning, the thunder is frequent, and those winds have probably picked up for you there as well. I'll show you just the warning itself. You can see it a little bit better here. It does extend from Garland up towards Red Hill, Tamaha. It does not include the community of Harrison, however. It does include a good chunk of the lakes. If you know anyone that was out there on the lake or the river today, hopefully they've sought shelter. Maybe you know their phone number, know they're out there. Wouldn't hurt to give them a phone call and let them know, hey, you got some storms moving your direction. Severe zone for today, if you're just curious what it is for your area, most of us are under this level 1 potential. That includes the majority, actually now includes all of the Channel 5 viewing area. Level 1 out of 5, so relatively low, but the key takeaway there, not necessarily 0. We'll go back into radar and get an idea area-wide what this looks like. Maybe you're just now finding the stream. There's one severe thunderstorm warning. It's now moving into Sequoia County. Elsewhere, we have strong thunderstorms, but nothing severe, really not even close to severe limits, but you're probably hearing some lightning and thunder in northwest Arkansas. Relatively quiet across the majority of the river valley, certainly on the Arkansas side. Not so quiet, obviously, there in Sequoia County. And then even in LaFleur County, you very well are probably hearing the thunder to that cell that is currently severe thunderstorm warned right there. Problem with some of this shower activity towards the north is it's heavy at times on top of a lot of rain that we've picked up over the last 48 hours. In fact, 48-hour rainfall estimates by Doppler radar across Benton, Carroll, even Madison and Washington County, parts of it anyways, it range anywhere from 3 up towards 6 inches of rain. We've seen some flooding from that alone. Of course, the ground's still saturated, so as we continue to see these showers on top of that saturated ground, runoff, excess runoff, flooding is going to be a concern, especially in those typical flood areas. We're talking low-lying places that often flood, but even those that maybe don't often flood, with rainfall like that, it's certainly going to be a potential for us. Let's take another look closer into this cell. We probably have a little bit new data to analyze here. Lightning still relatively high, still up there. Storm organization overall not as impressive as it once was. Not seeing that classic hook echo, not that you have to have one for every storm. Here's McKee right here, which is pretty much just right on the border, as is Vian of that severe thunderstorm warning. There's the rotation. It's still there. Can't say it's changed a lot. It's slightly organized. It's a compact area of rotation. I'll circle it for you if you're curious about where it's at. In fact, I'll actually go back and do this. So the reds, those are going to be winds blowing away from the radar. You get those greens inbound. That's winds blowing towards the Fort Smith radar. And where you get that circle, that spin right there, that's the reason we're concerned with this one cell. That's why it has that tornado possible tag. Not the strongest rotation we've ever seen or had, but certainly enough that has been persistent. I think that's the other thing that's worth pointing out. This rotation has been persistent, and that tells us, hey, you probably want to watch this fella. Let's do this. I'm going to zoom back out. We'll put a new track on it. Based off of the current speed, back down to 15 miles per hour. Can put a new path on it for you. Let me slide it over so we can get more focus on the screen. I'm going to do it at 25 to give you a little bit of advanced heads up. I want to draw this well out of the actual warning. This assumes it stays severe. It may not, which would be great. Red Hill, which is basically at 455, Sadie at 507, Brent 514, Power Plant 517, Tucker 524, Gans 528, Muldrow, how about 540, Fort Coffee 544, Lone Oak 548, Cherokee Casino, the one in Roland, 551, Braden 555, Moffett at 601. That draws it out well beyond the actual warning. This is the orange polygon. That's the severe thunderstorm warning. Those are the ones that are included in this potential, which right now is warned for primarily wind and hail. And we have got at least one report into us of some wind damage, 60-mile-per-hour wind damage. So it is verifying. We know that this is actually occurring for a lot of us out there. Back into the storm winds, the rotation's still there. Doppler scanning it, it's not going away. Look at it a little bit different way. Yeah, you can still see it right there. Let's try this. Let's see what this guy thinks. Okay, it does find a little pocket of rotation. This just simplifies it. It's basically the same thing. It's just the algorithm trying to strip away all the color and getting an idea. You can see though the blue, it's on the weak side. If we see this peak up to this this other blue or maybe even a purple, then we're probably going to be working our way towards a tornado warning. But that's not happening right now. It's staying relatively weak, which is some good news. Why are we here, Scott? Or you just found the stream and you're like, dude, what's going on? There's just this one severe thunderstorm warning, a little bit of rotation in it. Didn't want to catch you off guard with it out there this evening, so fired up the stream. If a tornado warning is issued, we'll go on 5 News as well. In the meantime, we'll hang out here on Facebook Live, on YouTube Live, on 5 News Plus, most importantly. If you don't have that downloaded, I'll tell you, it's just a great resource. We can go in-depth in storms and provide much more long-form coverage of things like this. So if you haven't downloaded it to your smart TVs yet, certainly check it out. It's free. It's called Plus. It's kind of weird. It's free. It's totally free. Good resource out there. Hail and wind. Primary concerns this evening, with the exception of this one tiny little bit of rotation. Looks like there's some development off towards the south. A little bit of activity trying to develop there. It's not severe. It's a thunder shower really at this point. It's closing in on the state line. It's relatively slow moving though. That's the issue with it when it comes to potential for rainfall. When it comes to additional flooding, the slow movement of all of this would indicate to us that you're going to probably end up seeing some more flooding where these storms are moving over areas that are already saturated, moving slowly, dumping a lot of rain. This is a 1-hour radar loop just to get an idea of storm motion there. Let's see here. Got a couple storm spotters checking in. Good to know. Thank you so much for that. Michael, nothing new here. That's good news. This warning is set to expire at 5 p.m. So we have 12 minutes to go on it. We'll see if they end up reissuing a new warning or if they just end up letting it expire. Circulation at Tamaha is still weak. I've got some off-air radar products that don't ever get to see the lot of TV, but it's giving me a really good indication here that that rotation is continuing to weaken there, and that's some good news for us. Saw things are getting pretty intense. The rain's picking up. You probably got some gusty winds out there as well. Wouldn't be surprised at all to have a little bit of hail mixed in. In fact, right now, I'm going to pull up our hail tracker in that cell. So you can see over the lifespan of this storm, there are moments, such as south of Warner, and that's where we got that damage report out of, with some wind, where this thing is producing some nearly golf ball size hail right here. You can see up at the top of the scale, we're getting up there, right? We're getting up there. Storm starts to weaken, pulses back up. You're seeing more of those blues out there, darker blues. There's that golf ball, $half size hail. Probably seeing quarters right now at maximum near Tamaha, south of the Sequoia County line. Bulk of that's probably going to be missing Vian. Certainly some heavy rain, maybe even some small hail mixing in, some wind likely, but the strongest updrafts, or the area where we would see the largest hailstones, is now going to be near Tamaha. That's also where the rotation is. Take a look at that as well. Oh, that's weakened a lot. That continues to show some signs of disorganization. I'm going to loop this for the last half hour, 30 minutes. And you can kind of see the progression there, where those colors are brighter, a little bit tightly wound up, versus now where their colors are lighter, which tells us, well, the winds are not as strong. The brighter the color, the stronger the winds. So if they're weakening, those winds are coming down. Rotation overall a little bit weaker than it even once was. This is all good news. This is tracking in a really favorable direction for us right now. Don't want to let our guard down. Sometimes these things pulse up and pulse down. We've seen that in the last 20 minutes. We've seen that with this specific storm over the last hour as well. But right now, it seemingly is starting to weaken for the time being. So no additional tornado warning is going to be issued in the meantime unless this thing really pulses back up. Question now becomes, do they let that severe thunderstorm warning expire, which right now is set to drop off at 5 o'clock on the dot, which is about 10 minutes from now. We'll ride it out here on 5 News Plus and see if that is the case or not. Of course, we have an evening newscast at 5:30, and we're going to be able to go in depth with regards to tonight's forecast. There's a lot of showers and thunderstorms out there in addition to this one that's currently moving through the area. And there's more rain on the way throughout the course of your Monday, Tuesday, even Wednesday. It looks wet. I will tell you, towards the end of the week, we start to see some drier weather, but in the meantime, we're going to have a few more rounds of strong to severe thunderstorms between now and Wednesday. And of course, with that potential for additional flooding that we've already seen. Let's go into northwest Arkansas for the time being while we're waiting to see what that cell is going to do. Almost widespread rain across Benton County. Delaware County and Oklahoma also seeing a good heavy downpour. That's getting ready to move back into Siloam Springs. Let me do this for you. Let me loop it for the last 15 minutes, just so you to get an idea of storm motion. Generally, those storms are moving a little bit more towards the east-northeast. Fayetteville, Springdale, Lowell, Johnson, Tawnytown, seeing some light to moderate rainfall. Some of those showers extend over towards Eureka Springs there as well. Garfield, Avoca, seeing some rain. Pea Ridge, you're seeing some rain across parts of town. That radar hole will fill back in here shortly. Can work our way into Adair County. Also seeing a decent amount of light rain there. It's just light rain though. It's this one cell here moving into Sequoia County that's of interest. I'll tell you, I'm keeping my eye on this guy, your Stigler and Keota as well. It looks like that one may end up merging with the actual Warren supercell that we've been looking at. Sometimes that can enhance a supercell, enhance what it's doing. Not always, but you also notice, starting to see that hook echo trying to redevelop down there. I want to circle that. It's a weak notch, but it's something we want to look at. Storm relative velocity in that same place. Yeah, some really weak rotation there. Certainly still some hail core there. Pause this now. We'll pick out nickel size there, times probably $0.50. So potentially some large hail coming out of this. Not near as large as what we did have over towards Warner. It's also where we saw a lot of, well, at least some wind damage. I don't want to say a lot, at least some wind damage. One report of that. What's the lightning in this cell doing? Over the last 10 minutes, we're down to 69 strikes. Let's back this up to about 30 minutes ago and see how much lightning we had then. We had a lot more lightning. So the lightning too is coming down. Remember what I said about that? We want to track the lightning. It'll be an idea of how strong it is. 30 minutes ago, we had 219 strikes. Now we're down to about 69 strikes. So that's a good trend. That's a good waypoint for us right now. Coming up at 6 minutes from now, we will see this warning either get reissued and extended down towards Brent and Sallisaw, or we'll see it drop off. Even if it does drop off, I'll tell you, we're still going to have to watch the cell at least over towards the state line. And I see with an emphasis on at least, there is going to be a slightly less favorable environment once we get to the state line in terms of what the atmosphere can support for severe storms. It is kind of reaching its end of that favorable environment there as it moves through Sequoyah County. Almost all of it's in Sequoyah County, although the most intense part is just to the south of the county line there, south of the river, moving off towards the northeast. Tamaha is the major city, major town or community there in the warning. Sallisaw is not, although the wind is picked up in Sallisaw. Let's see, what's that going to be? Special weather statement issued for Tamaha. So a special weather statement is a step below a warning. That's coming out of the Weather Service. I'm going to wait to see what they end up doing, but I'll tell you when they start to issue those, instead of go ahead and reissuing a warning or issuing a new warning, it tells me they're probably just not. It tells me they're going to let an SPS or a special weather statement stand in its place for now, indicating that for the most part, the storm's probably below severe weather thresholds, but they've got 4 more minutes to decide and see if it weakens or pulses up in those 4 minutes. So we'll stick this out a little bit longer. Thanks for tuning in here. We're live on 5 News Plus, YouTube, Facebook Live as well. This is just one severe thunderstorm warning. It had some rotation. That's why I fired up the stream. It wasn't rotation strong enough to have a warning. That's why you never heard the sirens, or at least I don't think any of the sirens sounded. Every community does it a little bit differently. But I thought, well, I'm here. I ain't got nothing better to do. Let's take care of the folks there in Sequoyah County and make sure they have a heads up that this cell is moving your direction. So hopefully we could provide that for you today. I'm feeling a little bit better with this cell as time passes. I think it's still minimally some heavy intense rains coming out of it. Probably a little bit of lightning, a little bit of thunder, and likely even some gusty winds up to 50 miles per hour, but those winds have steadily been coming down. Did cause some damage back near Warner. Do have some reports of that. So we know the cell has produced some severe weather. The warning has verified. The rotation, let's take another look at it right there. Make sure it's still behaving. Yeah, I think it is. It's really weak, really broad rotation. Right now, I'm moving pretty much right on top of Red Hill. That's where that rotation is right there. I know rotation's a scary word. I know you think, oh, if there's rotation, why isn't there a warning? Why aren't we taking shelter? Well, a lot of storms have rotation. A lot of storms have rotation that never even come close to that threshold needed to have concern or a warning issued. This among them, which is good news. Good news for us out there. Rotation, I know the word is scary, but more often than not, the rotation's never organized or strong enough to actually be concerned with, and that's seemingly what we have, at least for the time being. Could it change? Absolutely. My hope is it doesn't. My hope is you can go about your evening with just a nice thunderstorm to enjoy as it's passing through the area. Parts of the region hasn't seen a lot of rain, the River Valley specifically. In fact, while we're waiting to see what the Weather Service is going to do with that, it looks like they have issued a new severe thunderstorm warning. Okay, you see it just now popping up on the map there. This one is going to be for so the initial severe thunderstorm warning has expired, and they've issued a new one for Haskell County and Sequoyah County for 1-inch hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. What you're going to see here is in 2 minutes, when that clock expires, the warning on your screen right now, you'll see another window pop up that removes that tornado possible tag. What they're seeing is the rotation is no longer strong enough to even include that mention. That's good news, right? Keota is included in this new severe thunderstorm warning. It is really including that new cell off towards the south there. What's it doing? Looks like it has a little bit of hail. Potentially up to quarter size. That's that 1 inch in diameter. We'll back this up to the hail product now. There it is right there near Stigler. So this is the cell that's pulsing up. The northernmost is starting to weaken. Stigler along Oklahoma 9 is where that hail would be falling right now. You can examine some of those, yep, quarter size right there. Getting out of the hail core, you probably got penny, dime size hail. All right, so that former warning has expired. Now we just have the one for this southernmost cell. Brent, Keota, McKee, Tamaha. Yet again, Sallisaw not included in that warning. Storm itself is in Haskell County, moving towards the northeast, where the previously severe warned storm is currently moving through. So that previously warned storm still producing a lot of rain, probably some gusty winds, but this new cell is developed just to the south. In fact, when we take a look over the last hour, we're going to see that cell go from nothing to what it is now. There it is. It started off as just a tiny little shower near Quinton, moving towards the northeast, passed through Stigler, continued to intensify on its journey towards the northeast, now just to the north of Stigler, right between Stigler and Keota, getting ready to move across the lake. Kind of does have a little bit of a structure to it that is interesting, trying to become a supercell, perhaps a mini supercell, if you will. Go back and look at the rotation on that. Yeah, it's really not there, but it is early in that cell's life cycle, so let's watch that. Let's look at the winds a little bit differently. You look at the winds through this way, you can see a little bit more of a pronounced signature there. This is going to be right along Highway 9, just about 3 to 4 miles east of Stigler, or looking at it from the other direction, about 5 miles west of Keota, if that gives you a reference point, if anyone lives along Highway 9 there. This one is tracking a little bit further towards the northeast. Let's see how fast it's moving. I'll put a path on it for you once we can identify that. It's moving northeast at 20 miles per hour. That will take it a little bit closer to Brent. At 25 miles per hour, the worst part of the storm is going to arrive in Red Hill, 520. Bet you're sick of me saying your name on this stream. Sadie at 533, Harrison Community at 535, Crossroads Church 538, Sallisaw 544, Cherokee Casino there in Sallisaw 544. Some landmarks you may be aware of to get an idea of when you can expect the storm to move through. It's 5:02 right now here. You're watching Channel 5 on 5 News Plus, as well as on Facebook and YouTube. We're coming up on our 5:30 newscast. At that point, I have to end the stream just to reset the studio, but we'll continue tracking these storms in your 5 News at 5:30 this evening in that newscast. And if there's a tornado warning, we'll do what we always do during a tornado warning. We'll take over the newscast and cover it until that warning expires. I'm not seeing a lot of rotation out there. That's a big hypothetical. We did have some earlier. That has since weakened, not necessarily of much concern for us. I'm watching this cell closely just to make sure that it doesn't try to tighten up quickly. Hasn't done it yet. Some good news for us. Let's do this. Let's circle that again and watch that evolve over the last half hour. What do you say? It's pretty broad. We just get rainfall estimates with this cell. Actually, I'm going to, that's 48 hours. Let's do just the last 12. So from 5 a.m. this morning until now, which is pretty much just that one cell that's in the region at the moment, it's probably dumped 2 inches of rain near Tamaha, south of Ian, over near Salisaw as well. Warner, where we'd had some wind damage, about 1 inch. Dutchess Landing, almost 1 inch. This is radar estimate, so it's not perfect, but it's a pretty good accurate representation of where the heaviest of rain has set up. Let's take a look at the entire area while we're waiting to see what that southern cell is going to do. So this is a loop from the last hour. And you can see some of that rain did fall this morning or earlier in the afternoon, starting right around 4:05 till now. You can see where that rain footprint is continuing to expand towards the northeast as we continue to see development around the area. Let's take a look at this. Nearly widespread light to moderate rainfall across northwest Arkansas. It's better that it's light to moderate as opposed to the heavy downpours we were seeing earlier. That was just only going to exacerbate that flooding potential. However, while that's great and dandy, you look up towards Delaware County and some of these cells here coming out of northeast Oklahoma. You see some of these here with these darker reds. Those very well could produce some heavy downpours as well. And those are developing between, let's say, Fayetteville and Tulsa. You can kind of see that development right there. All of this activity is going to continue to spread towards the northeast into our area this evening, with even some lingering showers overnight tonight. The severe weather window is likely between now and, let's say, midnight. Very well could have some heavy thunder overnight, just like last night, where it kind of wakes some of us up, and no one likes that. No one likes going to work and school groggy on a Monday morning because of Mother Nature. Yeah, the cell's still strong, but it's not looking as impressive as it was. Not that it was impressive, but looking a little bit less organized, to be clear. Look at our rotation tracker. You can see the rotation from the other cell that moved through earlier. It pretty much fizzles out. And right now, that storm it's incredibly weak. It's hardly even showing up, which is good news. Looks even worse there. Let's see. When was this warning going to expire? 5:30, I think. 5:45. 5:45. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it about 2 more minutes here. And assuming that rotation doesn't increase any at all, and I don't think it's going to, I'm I'm probably going to end the live stream just to get ready for that 5:30 newscast. I want to put the final touches on your forecast. We'll have the new 7-day for you. There's a lot more active weather over the next several days. In fact, what we've seen over the last couple really ain't much in comparison to what is tracking our direction. A super active weather pattern brings daily chances of rain at least through Wednesday, potentially even extending over into Thursday. Some quieter weather just around the corner. That's some good news. Part of all this is a cold front. The other part is an upper level low pressure system. Those two things coinciding with each other is going to bring a cold front through the area on Tuesday, and as a result, temperatures are going to get a little bit cooler later in the week. But I want to put the fine-tuned details together for that for your 5 News at 5:30, which is going to be over on 5 News Plus and of course on traditional Channel 5 there as well. Things are getting a little bit heavier in Sallisaw. Sallisaw is not included in this severe thunderstorm warning. The cell that is included or that has prompted this severe thunderstorm warning is this one right here. And that's going to continue tracking up towards the Brent community, over towards Muldrow as well. Let's see how fast this was moving. I'll give you one more path cast on this. That was still moving at 20 miles per hour, which is relatively slow for these storms. At times they've been down to actually 15 to 20, but this one's around 20 at the moment. Taking that off towards the northeast, that puts it in Sallisaw around 5:43. So we'll be in the middle of our newscast, have the latest update for you there. Let's see, Eastside School 5:48, Central High School 5:55, Aikens 6:02, and Brushy around 6:05, just for some general times of arrival there. Okay, it's currently 5:10. I'm going to pause this live stream, finish up the forecast, and then we'll see you back here. Now, if anything changes at all, if this thing tries to spin up, and I don't think it's going to, at least right now, if anything changes, we will for sure fire up another live stream and go over on Channel 5 there as well. In the meantime, we'll see you right here in about 20 minutes for your 5 News at 5:30.